Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Answers on a Podcast Please, the podcast where we get to know more about the Wesley congregation. My name is Ben, and each week I'll be joined by two guests to share stories and memories and have a little bit of fun. This week my guests are Anna Ghelli and Ellis Osabutey, who have both made Wesley their home since moving to England and are kept busy with various roles within the church. So welcome Anna and Ellis, it's lovely to have you with us. How are you both doing?
Very well, thank you.
Very well, thank you. Hi, Ben.
That was very enthusiastic, Ellis. That bodes well. Brilliant. I'd like to start, if I may, by exploring your backgrounds a little bit, because not everyone may know about that. So, Anna, you're from Italy.
Correct, yeah.
But whereabouts exactly?
I was born in. I'm really Italian. I was born in Italy. I was born in Turin, which is in the northwest of Italy. But I grew up in a town by the sea, so it's still in the north, but on the coast of Italy. Yeah. And then I had to, but I didn't stay in Italy all the time because I had part of my studies, I did them in Italy. And then I did my PhD in Switzerland, and then I moved to the UK, and then I went back to Italy and then back to UK. So I've been moving around a bit.
But you came to England to do some studying.
No, actually, I came to England to work. So the first time round I came to Italy, I came to England, and I did 4 years of postdoc at the University of Reading. And then I went back to Italy, and then I came back and I've started working in this international organization. This is where I also work now.
And you've been there ever since?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how did you make your way to Wesley?
Oh, I am originally Methodist. So in Italy, Methodist, there are about when I left Italy, there were about 4,000 Methodists. And this is just to put in a perspective, over 60 million Italians, there are about 4,000. So when I came to UK, I wanted to find a Methodist church. And so I think Wesley was the first Methodist church that was on my list. And I just started going to Wesleyan, and I liked it.
And here you are, still to this day. Yeah. And we're very grateful because you're very much part of the furniture and the family now at Wesley. And Ellis, if I turn those questions to you as well, so where are you originally from, and how did you come?
Yeah, I'm originally from Ghana. I was born in the southern part, which is also coastal. In Ghana, it's where you are born is one thing, but where your parents come from is also quite important. Fortunately, my parents also come from the Greater Accra region, which is the capital. And so that's about where I come from.
When did you come over here, and how did you come to be in Reading?
You know, yesterday was exactly 19 years ago when I came to the UK, which was 4th February 2002. So I came to originally study, and then after studying, one had to choose between staying and going back. But as kids came along, we felt like this could be home, so we decided to stay.
And did you originally come to Reading, or did you come somewhere else first?
I came straight to Reading, and I mean, you know, like Reading is a bit more quieter than London. So I came to Reading and didn't feel like going anywhere else. And I've been here since.
And you've been at Wesley for 19 years as well?
The first few months, I mean, both my wife and I are also originally Methodist. In fact, both our parents both my dad and Ifwe's dad were Methodist Reverend ministers. So it was like, we were Methodist through and through. So we were looking for a church to attend. Initially, we tried a few other Methodist churches. We were not living close to Wesley, because when you're a Methodist, you're always looking for, I don't know about you, but we like the hymns.
No, we've noticed that you and your fellow Ghanaians are very, very big fans of the traditional hymns.
The very, very traditional hymns for us. Even if you go to church and the preaching is not so great, you could get one hymn that will fill you up, and then you come home because of what is in the hymn. So anyway, we tried a few. Then I think maybe 6 months in, we came to Wesley. So Wesley was the last one we tried.
Oh, we were bottom of the pile. That's it?
So then when we visited Wesley, immediately we felt at home. I mean, you could feel the multicultural environment. Even in those days, there weren't many of us minorities, but you could feel welcome straight away. And then we felt that this would be home. And then we've never tried anything else.
And you touched ever so slightly there, sort of on my next question, which is, for those who've never been to Ghana or to Italy, what is church like over there? What was church like for you growing up in Ghana?
Okay, I think most Ghanaians are a little bit churchy people, and so church is what you grow up with. So like when we came here, if a whole month you haven't been to church, you feel like you are missing something. But church there are some similarities with our kind of worship here, and there are also some differences. So like you said, the hymns are a great part of Methodism, but I think also there is also a mixture of the hymns, and they also incorporate, in terms of worship, they incorporate local gospel music, which involves a bit of drumming and dancing as well. I mean, I should say a lot of people like that. I mean, I wasn't a great fan because I have two left legs. I'm not good at dancing, so I just preferred my hymn. But I think the preaching is quite closer to the kind of thematic preaching that we have here. Only that in their preaching, maybe as the guy is preaching, somebody may be shouting from the congregation and it's all right. But here it is not the same.
Yeah, it's definitely you get some funny looks if you
funny
shouting
looks.
at
And the guy would also sometimes like to ask the congregation to also say something, which I think is all not very traditional Methodist, but essentially the hymns were the very central thing. So most of the Methodist churches have large choirs who sing all kinds of parts, and the main difference would be the sermons may be a little bit longer, and the church service itself may be a little bit longer. But generally, I think it's quite similar. That's what I remember. If something else comes to mind, I would say.
Yeah, well, it sounds very exciting, and anyone who's familiar with Wesley services will know that once our African congregation get up and dancing and there's music that they know and they like, then there's no stopping them, and it really is a fantastic sight. So I can imagine a full church doing that.
Yeah, I mean, and that adds to it going on and on and on and on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get into the groove and that's it. And Anne, I've spent some time in Italy, but I've never been to a Methodist church in Italy. How does it compare with Wesley and with Ellis in Ghana?
Oh, the first big difference is the numbers.
Right.
So in Italy, as I said, the minority. So I remember in my church were about maybe 30 people, and that would be considered a full church.
Okay.
And so I think the services in the church where I went were very traditional, and the sermon was very much more similar to what we would have as a Bible study. So it was a lot of teaching from the Bible. Singing was traditional hymns. My mom actually was the pianist as well in church, and but we had a nice youth group. So we had as a young people, we used to meet during the week, not on Sunday, not during the service. So we would attend the service, and then during the week we would meet with the young people basically in the church. But as I said, because you are a minority, so it's when you meet, you like to be together, to keep this sense of belonging to a group of people who have a different faith from the majority, which is actually Catholic in Italy.
Yeah.
But we did have quite a lot of discussion with groups of young people in the sort of more Catholic sort of background. So it was good, but definitely the bigger difference is the numbers.
Yeah,
we never managed to get big numbers. No dancing.
no dancing. No. A lot of people might have travelled to places like Italy and France and Spain and seen the architecture and be familiar with a lot of the Catholic churches which are there. What was the Methodist sort of church buildings like in Italy? Are they ornate like the Catholic ones, or are they a bit more?
Oh No, they are most of the, for instance, the church where I was, it was very modern. So
Okay.
it was built sort of maybe in the 70s.
Right.
So it was very, very modern. So they wouldn't have, like you may have here, very kind of ancient buildings. So it's mostly sort of modern architecture. But in some of the churches, because the numbers are not big, the church is just maybe like a room. It may be just a room in a building.
And I said at the beginning that you're both involved and kept busy with various roles at Wesley. Ellis, what are your responsibilities and things you do at church?
Oh, okay. I think some years back, I think somewhere between maybe 2007 and 2012, I was part of the stewards team. And then at some point I needed to focus a bit more on trying to help prepare the kids for secondary school. So I took a back seat. In more recent times, I was encouraged to join the worship team. We had a bit of training to try to let us take more part in service. And I think we had a couple of worship team-led services. So basically, I think at this point in time, that's what I do. I mean, occasionally, when they are singing, maybe I didn't add this, but most of my siblings are very good singers. I'm not. So occasionally when you're doing some of the choir singing stuff, whenever I can, I do join. But basically, this is what I do now. Yeah.
We've often tried to get you to come and sing. So if any of the choir members are listening, do give Ellis a poke and get him along.
But just as I have two left feet, I'm just not very musical, so I don't have that kind of confidence. But I think they should chase Efua more, and she knows what she's singing, rather than me.
I'll make a note of that, and there'll be no escape now.
Okay.
My mum will be very pleased to hear that. Brenda will be very pleased to hear that.
Yeah, Ellis, so you did a very good job during our wedding with this singing. Oh yeah, it was really good.
I mean, Oye's singing was very good for the whole church because everybody got involved, and it's become one of the church's Ghana songs.
We've slightly touched there. We've jumped ahead, and that's okay. We'll come back. But Anna, you mentioned having Oye and a lot of the Ghanaian music at your wedding. So I was going to talk about your roles within Wesley. But if we just start, you actually got married at Wesley, so your connection is very much embedded now, isn't it?
Yeah. Got married about a year ago, no, a bit more than a year ago.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it because it felt like being part of the community, and everybody joined in. So we all sang in the choir, and then there were lots of contribution from the people in the congregation. It was great. This is one of the things I enjoy most in Wesley, is actually the diversity. I just love it.
That was sort of signified in your wedding of Danny being from Ghana and you being from Italy, and that sort of coming together. But then with the whole Wesley congregation there was fantastic. So if we talk now, coming back a little bit to what your roles are or have been within Wesley, because I know you've also done a few different things.
Yeah. So the two things I've done most of the time in terms of length was a junior church. So I remember that when I arrived at Wesley, after a few months that I was at Wesley, I had a visit from I can't remember if he was the minister at that time or it was one of the junior church teacher, and they asked me, you're just new, why don't you come and teach and help us to teach in the junior church? So I actually joined the junior church team very soon. I'm still now teaching in junior church. I was for a while, I did a bit of the work of like coordinating the junior church, but that was in the past. And then recently, not that recently actually, I joined the steward team. It's a team, very diverse team. So this is nice because we have meeting and you have different people, different opinions, different way of doing things. There's a lot of learning goes on, which I love.
Now, you're both frightfully intelligent, and I'll do my best to keep up with your answers here. But what do you actually both do for a living? Ellis, if we start with you,
I would say I'm an academic, so
Yeah.
I work at University of Roehampton, and I I my interest is in international business and strategy, and so I do a bit of teaching in that respect, but I also conduct a bit of research in that area, where sometimes I combine that with a bit of technology and innovation. But because I'm from Ghana, what interests me most, when I started studying here, occasionally I would see something written about Africa or about Ghana, and then I look at it and I say, no, this is not very true.
Mm.
Because sometimes when people do not aim to mislead anyone, but when they see a phenomenon, they can interpret it from their own perspective.
Of
And
course,
so,
yeah.
and so I do most of my research on Africa. In that sense, I think I try to tell the African story the way I think it should be told. I like this thing by this African writer who said, until the lions get their own historians, the story of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. So I think one of my interests is to be able to tell the African story, to take part in telling the African story. So most of my research is on Africa. As an academic, you should not just teach, but you should also do research. And I prefer to do research on Africa. If I want to find out how the presence of foreign firms facilitate technology and knowledge transfer, I will go to a place like Ghana, which I'm familiar with. So I'll be doing the primary research more in Ghana than because some of these things, if you understand the culture and institutions better, you are likely to do a much better job. So the same international business or the same technology issues, I would do the empirical work or the primary research in Africa.
Okay, brilliant. And Anna?
Yeah, my background is very scientific. So I think it comes from the family. Also, my father was a chemistry. My brother is an engineer. So we're all very scientific. So I did my studies in meteorology, so the science of the weather. I would have preferred to work a little bit more on geoscience, learn about volcanoes, etc. But in Italy, it was very difficult. There wasn't anything, so I had to revert to meteorology. So at the beginning, when I came here the first time around, I did quite a lot of work on research. So I was working at the University of Reading as a postdoc. And then as time moved on, I moved more and more towards like managing position. So at the moment, I'm just managing a group of people, still in a scientific environment. It's an international organization, and the team is working on supporting users and training activities. So I love training and the science of training, yeah, and to use training for capacity building. So we do a lot of work in Africa, by the way, mostly on the east side of Africa, though.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you for that. We'll end, as we always do, with some quick fire questions. So, Ellis, TV or book?
Maybe TV.
Lie-in or early start?
Early start. I function better early in the morning.
Okay.
So even before everybody wakes up.
Yeah. Now this one, I've no idea what you're going to say to this one based on things you've already said, but singing or dancing?
I would prefer singing. I get a lot of inspiration from the words of songs. So I'm more into the lyrics than the tunes. But with dancing, I'm just too rubbish. So singing.
Okay, fair enough. What's the last country that you visited?
I was in America. I think I went to America in 2020 January.
And what's your favorite Bible verse?
Oh, let me see. I think my favorite verse is love thy neighbor as thyself. I think it's very simple, and I also think that the love thyself part of the love thy neighbor is not emphasized enough.
Thank you, Ellis. Anna, working from home or going to the office?
Oh, working from home for sure.
Brilliant. Cats or dogs?
Probably dogs.
Christmas or Easter?
Easter.
And what's your favourite pizza topping?
Margherita, the simple one.
And what's your favourite book of the Bible?
Acts, probably.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much both. All it remains for me to say is thank you to Anna and Ellis for joining me today and giving us all an insight into your lives. Thank you to you at home for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember to like this podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel to ensure you don't miss any future episodes. You can also keep up to date with all the goings on at Wesley via our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram pages by searching Wesley Methodist Church Reading or by visiting www.wesleychurchreading.org. We'd love to hear from you too. Maybe you'd like to be involved in an episode of Answers on a Podcast, please. Please get in touch, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.